How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, things are trucking along. It's been warm. It's been cool. It's been hot. It's been muggy. It's been raining.
This rain's been great. I don't know how many people watched my video on moving plants on rainy. We had an episode ages ago on rainy day gardening, and I did a video of that. I don't know.
Let me dig into that right now while you're still talking.
I don't know how well it came off, but anyway, that's not the only. I've been every time I know there's going to be rain, especially like the last couple of days. Like there was rain yesterday and today. So yesterday I moved everything I could think of that could possibly move, and it makes such a huge difference. That all the plants I moved. I mean, if you're moving a plant and you can get all the roots and a good hunk of soil with the roots, the plant doesn't know it's moved. But sometimes, so I've got a garden, and we're going to be talking about kale today, so this is apropos. But I've got a garden that I'm calling the kale salad garden. Mm-hmm. I plan to do an episode when that garden's fully ready to harvest, and that's going to be a while because it's got Brussels sprouts and they take a while. They do an episode on how to make kale salad dressing just like in the store, just like store-bought. But anyway, there's only 2 rows of Scotch curly kale. And in my garden, this is a 4x10 garden, so a row is 4 feet wide. Mm-hmm. So it's not a lot. But when I planted these, and I planted these under that hoop house, I have to check out the hoop house video, way back in, 1st of April sort of thing. Yeah. So those plants are a foot high now, right? Like we're eating kale. I just made a mess of greens this evening. Nice. But anyway, you put the seeds an inch apart. So once those plants start getting big, you've got too many plants. I mean, a kale plant should be a handspan apart, or at least 3 inches apart, because they get big. You don't want the leaves touching each other, or you want them barely touching each other, because the more the leaves are intermingled and stuff like that, it just makes it the air doesn't get to them. You just get more problems with pests and diseases and all kinds of things like that. And also the roots don't have as much, free reign to roam and gather up nutrients and stuff like that. So where I'm going with all of this is that those 2 rows of kale, this is Scotch curly kale, I've moved them to all kinds of places, everywhere I could jam them in my garden. Mm-hmm. So from those 2 rows of kale, I've got the equivalent of 6 rows now.
Wow.
Just from moving plants, right? And when you're moving them like that, you're not getting a nice root ball. You're just sort of pulling them out, practically bare rooting them. You're just yanking them out of the ground, jamming them back in. Yeah. So they really suffer. And I don't know how much I talked about this in the video, but when you do that, you take off some of the lower I guess if it's kale, the branches, the lower leaves, because that reduces the amount of strain on the root system. They're going to die anyway. Like you'll notice after a week, the lower leaves will just start losing their color and stuff. Like the plant will give them up to favor the younger ones, right? So just snap them off and eat them. Nice. that day sort of thing. Yeah. But anyway, all the plants I moved yesterday, I filled an entire garden yesterday with kohlrabi that I moved, and they're all doing fine, and they're all practically bare rooted. So this is just great, and cool. All this rain, and then tomorrow and the next few days we'll have lots of sun, and awesome. So for me the garden's doing great right now. Excellent. So we're going to talk about kale today, and we're going to talk about the main pests, at least in my experience. There's lots of different things that can affect kale, but the big 3, the 3 real pests that I've had problems with over the years. And I guess to back up a little bit, before I lived in my current property, I used to live in an area that I would describe as suburban. For people in Nova Scotia, I lived in Wolfville, which you'd say, well, that's the country. Yeah. But if you live within a 2 or 3 minute walk of the university, it's effectively a suburb. You're on you're on municipal water, you've got municipal sewer, and your neighbors, everybody's, there's a typical Canadian neighborhood with bungalows and split little, there's people around, and if you hit a baseball in any direction, you'll break a window. It's a suburb, Yeah. So anyway, when I lived there, I grew kale and kohlrabi, and by the way, I grew it before it was cool to like kale. Certainly before people were making kale shakes. Have you ever had a kale shake?
I personally have not.
And neither have I.
Mm.
And I never will. I don't get that. I mean, I want bananas in my shake.
That's true. I'm more of a fruit shake kind of guy. If I'm
yeah, exactly.
But hey,
anyway.
if that's your thing, if that's
whatever.
your thing,
You grow your kale, make your kale shake.
yeah.
So anyway, I never had problems with pests. I mean, I would plant kale quite early in the year because it just warms up a lot quicker there. And same with kohlrabi. They're the same family, the brassica family. All those plants that are related to the mustard are brassicas. So your radishes, kale, kohlrabi, broccoli, cauliflower, they're all related, and they all are attacked by the same kinds of pests.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I would get slug attacks, and I get this, but never anything that made me even think about using a pesticide or anything. Right. I never used anything. So I was there for 6 or 7 years. I never used anything. I never used fertilizer, and I never used pesticides in my garden. Mm-hmm. Everything just took care of itself.
Yeah.
So when I moved here, it was the same sort of thing. I would plant them. I mean, you'd get a bit of it. You get a little attack here, a little attack there, but 90% or 95% of the crop would make it. And some leaves might have a few holes in them, but who cares? Not trying to sell this at a fancy grocery store. I'm just I chop all my greens up and cook them. I like them just lightly sautéed with olive oil and garlic and stuff like that. That's just how we. I mean, put them in our salad too a bit, but mainly I like spinach and lettuce in a salad. When it comes to like those heavier greens like Swiss chard and kale and kohlrabi, I like them cooked. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I didn't have too many problems here either. A bit of predation, a few attacks here or there, but no big deal. But then we had that insane winter, which I believe was 2015. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just a crazy winter, right?
Yeah.
I remember in April 1st, which is beginning of fishing season.
Yeah.
I normally hike out to the lake. There's a lake about 1 kilometer behind my house in the forest here. Yeah. I normally hike out there and get my canoe in the water, and I try to go. I go fishing, but I never catch anything on the opening. It's just too cold. Fish aren't active. But anyway, I do it every year. But on April 1st that year, there was 4 feet of ice on the lake.
That's crazy.
So I'm normally canoeing, and there was 4 feet of ice.
4 feet.
Right? We went out there and brought the ice auger, and we checked. It was 4 feet of ice.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's a seriously different or dramatic climatic event. Yeah. And that spring, I had pests. I had slugs like I'd never seen before. I had grasshoppers. I had all kinds of problems, and I didn't know what the hell was going on in my garden. I just because I'm a permaculture gardener, and all the literature you read on this approach to gardening, it just says, well, if you just leave it, if you have an abundance of a certain kind of pest, then some sort of beneficial organism, whether it's an animal or an insect, will be drawn by that abundance, and it'll come in and take it out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's correct, but that might take a number of years. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I think what happened, because ever since that winter, I have never seen a snake in my garden. And I used to see them all the time. It scare me to death sometimes, because they're quite big, big garter snakes. And I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any grass snakes, and I haven't seen any garter snakes. And they eat slugs, right? And they eat other pests too. Yeah. And just weird things like that, I remember that year I'd never seen so many horseflies in my garden. And then towards the end of the summer, all of a sudden there was dragonflies everywhere. You go in the garden, there were like millions of dragonflies. It was just everything was out of balance. Yeah. And I've had pest problems ever since. And the 3 main pests that I've had problems with are slugs and snails, primarily slugs. I've got 3 kinds of slugs in I didn't even know there was 3 kinds of slugs in Nova Scotia. You used to just to see those browny, yellow, blonde ones.
Yeah.
Stereotypical kind. I don't even know what you'd call that color.
Yeah.
It's sort of a brown, yellow.
Gross.
Taupe. Slugs. And another pest that I'd never seen before is what's called, some people call them cabbage worms, or white butterfly caterpillars, I guess.
Okay.
It's a caterpillar. They're called cabbage worms, but it's a caterpillar. And the other thing I'd never seen before was flea beetles. And all of these things I started noticing and having problems with after that big intense winter. And they're really they can really compromise your crop. I mean, that year I hardly had any kale at all. I mean, my family, we love eating greens. We eat greens like 3 or 4 or 5 times a week as a main course in the meal. You know, like everyone has a huge hunk of it on their plate. We eat as much of that as some likes that more than French fries. To give you an example.
That's awesome.
And he's 8, so that's unheard of.
Yeah, it is.
So anyway, so I thought I'd do an episode and just focus on those particular pests because I know a lot of people like kale, and it's a popular thing to eat. And if you're trying to grow them for the first time and they're just like disappearing out of your garden, maybe you think, oh, I'm just not a good gardener, or I don't have a green thumb, or if it's your first garden and the one thing you want is kale and they're all dying, it's a bit demoralizing. But there might be some really easy solutions for that. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Cool.
With no further ado.
Yeah.
So what should we talk about first? The first thing I want to talk about is the different kinds of kale, because I have found that different kinds of kale have different levels of resistance to the pests. And I haven't read this anywhere. Maybe I haven't really looked that hard, but I haven't come across it. So I have 3 kinds of kale in my garden. I've got Scotch curly kale. That's the kind that you normally see at the grocery store, the kind that's in the bags of kale salad. And I grow a red Russian kale, although all the seeds I saved from my red Russian kale have created a variety of kale that's not red. So I have white Russian kale. It's
white Russian.
White, the Belarusian. And Lacinato kale, which I have never successfully grown in my garden. It gets attacked so badly. So I mention them in that order because that's the order of their ability to resist predation from pests. The Scotch curly kale is the most pest resistant. I have no idea why. The red Russian kale is intermediate. And it's very vulnerable when it's young. And the Lacinato kale, which is the best tasting kale in my opinion, at least cooked, it's delicious. That one is extremely vulnerable to everything. Like, it's almost like the more I like the kale, the more the bugs like it too.
Well, they have the same palate.
They have excellent taste. So very refined. So I mean, if Scotch curly kale is the one you like, then don't bother with the other 2 because they're more difficult to grow because the pests like them more. I mean, this might be different as I've said before, my garden backs onto a forest, so I've got, it's a real wild system here, and it's surrounded by a field which is full of pests. It's just a wild system, which is different than if you're in a suburb where there's just not the same sort of things adjacent to your garden. So someone in the city or in a suburban area, some of this might not even apply to them, and that's great. More power to you. But if you're having problems, let's talk about that. So that's a quick talk about varieties. Slugs. You can tell you've got slug damage because they chew the ends off the plant. They make holes in your plant. They'll cut the leaves right off. And I've got different kind. I've got the long kind. I've got teeny tiny slugs, really small, like the size of a piece of rice. Some of them, really small. Yeah, and they'll do all kinds of damage. I got black ones. I got gray ones. I got all kinds of weird slugs in my garden. And if you should
do a video on that. Show them.
I plan to do a video this week as well on that. I just need a day where it's not too windy. And anyone that's watched my videos, you'd think my garden was the windiest place in the world. And it's the least windy part of my property. It's why I put the garden there, but it's still windy.
Greg's out on Sable Island.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, I plan to do one this week, and because I've got some affected plants, and I can also show you the solutions, or at least the things I'm trying. Anyway, if you think you've got any kind of pest in your garden, go out to your garden at different times of the day and just get close and look at what's going on. Even get a magnifying glass, right? If you're getting predation, go out early in the morning before the sun comes up. If there's slugs everywhere, it's slugs, right? Yeah. And it's pretty easy to see slug damage because it just looks like something's eating your plant. A tiny person is eating your plant. Yeah. When your plants are very young, the first 2 leaves your plant puts out, which usually don't resemble the subsequent leaves, they're called cotyledons. Mm-hmm. And the seed makes those, and their job is to gather sun and send that back down to the roots and allow the plant to put out the next leaves. So this is a very vulnerable stage of the plant's life. Mm-hmm. Those first 2 leaves have to be immaculate because they're like, solar power generators sort of thing, right? So if they get damaged, it's over for the plant. The plant's dead, right? If you kill those 2 leaves, the plant, even though there's a root, the root's just going to die because the system can't perpetuate itself. Yeah. And you can have a slug just come along and take out a whole row like that. Yeah. Right. So things are disappearing. You got to get out. And slugs, if you think it's slugs, they're out in the morning when it's still dewy and before the sun's really up. Once the sun comes up, they usually go and hide somewhere. Mm-hmm. So to diagnose that. So if you find out you've got slugs, then you got to do something about it. So my first year with all these problems, I tried all the real, environmental, really hippie sort of approaches. Go out in the morning and find them and squish them. Make a little beer bath. You put a bowl with beer below the soil grade, and they're drawn to it, and they wander into it, and they drown in it. I don't know if they get drunk and drown, or they drown again. I don't know what order happens, but anyway, they're drawn to it, they go into it, and they don't come out. Yeah. Another thing is you put pieces of cardboard down between your rows, and they'll hide under the cardboard when the sun comes out, kind of like vampires, And then you just, you go out and, when you're having your coffee in the morning and flip the cardboard over and squish them, right? Okay. Or you can, shake salt all over them if you really want to make them die hard. But, and another one is diatomaceous earth. You crush up eggshells and put that around your plants. That apparently they don't like to crawl over that. Yeah. I've heard people say you could put coffee grounds down. They don't like that. Another thing I've read is putting copper. You put a ring of copper wire around the base of the plant because they apparently don't like to cross it because it creates some sort of electrical current. Anyway, I have all the things I just mentioned. I've tried all of them. Yeah. And none of them stop my slugs. Not only that, but when you've got a 2,500 square foot garden, it's a bit much. Yeah. Frigging around with little copper rings and shaking eggshells everywhere. And you know what I mean? It's just a bit much to stay on top. Yeah. Anyway, I literally went out one morning. I wish I'd caught that on film, but I had a plant that had eggshells all around the ground. I'm talking like an 8-inch diameter field of eggshells. Yeah. It would be like you walking over glass with your bare feet. You wouldn't. That would not be good. But having to cross like half a football field to do right. And then at the center of that, I had copper around the base of the plant, and I looked at the plant and there was 3 slugs on it. Mm. So I'm not saying it doesn't slow them down or deter them or whatever, but if you've got a real slug problem, a really, really serious slug problem on a really serious scale, at least in my experience, or at least the kind of slugs I have, it seemed to do the job. And I didn't resort to anything other than that season, and I really probably the worst garden I ever had. So last season, I became aware of what's it called? Iron phosphate slug bait. So there's a number of different brands. You can get one called Slug Be Gone.
Yep.
There's another company called Safers. They gave me a number of different products to try in my garden this year. They're not paying me any money. They just, I was in contact with them, and they said, "Why don't you try these out this year? And if you like them, give us a shout out sort of thing." So I've tried their slug bait. It seems to be working. So what happens with the slug bait is it has a smell that they're drawn to. They eat it. It's got iron in it. Mm-hmm. And they just overdose. They get way too much iron. Their stomach can't handle it. It wrecks their stomach, and they stop eating, and they starve to death and just go somewhere and die.
Lovely.
Yes. So you just broadcast that around the area where you think they are, and they go for that, because it would be like throwing poison cake everywhere, right? You wouldn't be eating kale if there was cake everywhere.
True enough.
Go for the cake. So they eat that. So that's. And it's environmentally, at least from everything I've read, it's benign, right? Your soil can handle that. Most of it just breaks down. If there's anything that stays in your soil, it's a bit of iron, which isn't a problem. So, because some plants, most greens actually need iron anyway, and are a source of iron. So that's the solution for that. That I've found that we're after all those other things, that's the one I've found. I do firmly believe that once the snakes come back, they will hold the slugs in check. Yeah. Right. I do believe that this will all work, because the bulk of my experience as a gardener has been not having to need any of this stuff. So I think my system is just at a balance, and it needs to return to balance. And in the meantime, I'm creating the balance with these products. But that one works perfectly fine. I'll put a link up to the Safers product, just to in my way of thanking them for providing. They gave me a season's worth of these products to use in my garden, and that one works. I mean, if you're seeing slugs and they're eating your plants, and you broadcast that out, the slug problem disappears. Yeah. And you might have to reapply, every 10 days or every 2 weeks. But you don't have to keep doing it all season long. I only use all the things I'm going to talk about today. I use these things when the plants are juvenile, when they're really young. Right. Once the plants are a foot high, I just let them fend for themselves. I mean, some of them get a little bite here or there, get a little predation or whatever, but they can handle that. So I don't keep using the stuff all season long. It's just when the plants are really young and they can't handle having 50% of their biomass eaten away. Yeah. Because they just can't take it. Another pest is called cabbage worms, or white butterfly caterpillars. If you've got brassicas in your garden and you're sitting out there on a nice sunny afternoon and just being quiet and watching things happen, you might notice these pretty little white butterflies flitting around and landing all over the place. And what they're doing is putting eggs all over your kale and your broccoli and your kohlrabi. And those eggs turn into these little maggot-like, worm-like, they're called worms, but they're caterpillars. These little caterpillars, but they're perfectly camouflaged. You can't, they look just like the stem. They're really, I mean, you can see them if you really look, but it's not like you walk by and notice. I mean, if you walk by, you can notice a slug. It's a different color than the plant. These things are perfect camo, like a chameleon. And those caterpillars just eat the hell out of your kale. They really do a lot of damage.
So kill the moths in the air while they're airborne.
I do that, actually. The other day, I'm proud to say this, I had a knife in my hand, and I literally, like a samurai, I cut it in half, right out of midair. And my son was there; he saw it.
He's like, "Dad, you savage!"
Awesome. Yeah. I tried to do that about 80 times the previous day, so
you need to invent like a little mini shotgun that shoots like dust or powder.
Any aircraft gun.
Yeah.
So anyway, Pyrus rape is the name of the Latin name. Anyway, these things do a ridiculous amount of damage, and they're a real problem. So the options for this, one thing is to put these fine mesh row covers over your plants.
Right.
But then you got to lift it up every time you want to get at the plant. And they don't last forever, so I don't bother with them. What I've used in the past is Rotenone, which I've talked about before on the show, which is a powder that's made from a naturally occurring plant. I don't know if it's a synthetic form of it, but anyway, it's a Rotenone is a chemical compound that occurs naturally in nature, and it breaks down and breaks down quickly. In fact, anyway, it's a powder, and you put it on the leaves, and the caterpillars eat it, and they die. That's a great one because you just put it on and walk away and let it do its work for a few days. The thing I'm trying this year that Safers gave me is this stuff called Bacillus Thuringiensis, or BT as people like to call it.
That sounds good.
BT. Anyway, I wish I had the container in front of me here, but it's a bacteria that again occurs naturally in nature, but they've found a way to make it, and it damages the digestive system of the insects that eat it, and it causes them to starve to death. It's awesome. That works. I don't know. I have not tried this, but I've done a lot of reading on it. Number one, it's benign environmentally. It breaks down quickly, and but the other, I heard that you should put it on in the evening because even a day's sunlight can break it down.
Wow.
So once you see those moths or those butterflies flying around, there's probably eggs, and you want to get it. When those eggs, it's not worth putting on until the egg turns into a maggot that's going to start to eat. Right, it needs to be eaten. So those caterpillars need to start eating the greens that have that stuff sprayed on them. It goes in their stomach, and that's the end of them.
Yeah.
So that's the other approach. You make a spray out of it. And finally, flea beetles. That's the other thing. If they tend to really attack the young cotyledons, the early leaves or the secondary leaves that come out, and you can tell you've got them because your plant will look like somebody going back to your shotgun. It looks like someone took a shotgun to the young plant. There's tiny holes everywhere, and it really weakens the plant and really limits its ability to achieve its full potential.
Wow.
And they really like brassicas. So they're, it's, I never had them before I lived here, but now I have them, and it's a real problem.
Yeah.
I've used Rotenone powder in the past to deal with it. Last year, that's what I used. It works well. This year, because Safers gave me a product, I'm trying this stuff, Pyrethrin insecticidal soap. It's called Safers End All. And it's a soapy, it's like an insecticidal soap, I guess, but it's got this stuff called pyrethrin in it. And again, this is one of those things that breaks down and just goes away. Pyrethrin, I think, comes from a chrysanthemum, so it's I was doing a bit of reading. They even use this in ancient China to some effect. Anyway, I mean, that's not this form. I'm sure this is a synthetic version of that. But anyway, it breaks down very quickly in your soil and just sort of goes away. But you mix that, and you get one of those spray canisters, right? You mix that with water, and you pump your spray canister up, and you're literally spraying a fog of death. It's a contact insecticide, so it's not like the Rotenone where the insect has to eat it. With this, the insects have to be around. You've got to spray it on them. So you go out the time of day when you know they're most active, which I find for flea beetles is in the morning. I don't know, maybe in the evening too. I don't tend to do anything like that in the evening. Anyway, you spray that, and it just kills everything it comes across.
Wow.
So it smells like lemons.
Oh.
It's citrusy, kind of nice.
Lemon death. You
say it doesn't bother, the beneficials. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, I've been using that, and it has saved my brassicas so far.
Wow.
But you got to apply it once a week. If I'm noticing damage, I just give everything a good shot. So I got 1 container of it from them. Actually, they gave me 2, but they gave me a 1 liter container of the concentrate. And I've got a large garden and a lot of greens, and I'm not even halfway through it.
Wow.
So that 1 container might be good for 2 seasons for me.
That's good.
Yeah. So I don't know what these cost. Probably $10 or something like that, maybe 20. But if you want the instant gratification,
that's the way to go.
Yeah, because with the Rotenone, you're sort of like laying out a trap.
Yeah.
Endall, it's just like die.
Does it work with ants? Like just ants around the outside of your house too?
I'm sure it would. I don't know.
Save me some, because this year's been absolutely ridiculous for ants outside of our house, and some of them getting in.
Do you use that? What's that other stuff? Ant Be Gone. That's what I use.
Yeah, I use the regular Raid stuff, but I'll have to look into the Ant Be Gone. Ant Be Gone's
food. So they bring it back to their hive and they feed it to all their children.
And then everybody just
they
disappears.
All die. It's mass murder. It's the sticky, sugary, syrupy stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
They think is awesome, but it's really not. It's really the worst thing they've ever come across.
Yeah, you'll have to do a whole video or series on different pests and video up close, and maybe not necessarily the death, but hey, who knows?
Snuff films of
let's
watch this one die.
Snuff, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Whatever it takes to keep your garden flourishing.
Exactly. Anyway, I found this stuff seems to work. Also, the Rotenone works. So those are the two options for, and the row covers. The row covers will work if you get them over your plants before the flea beetles find their way in.
Yeah.
Right. So if they were already in the soil and came up out of the soil, you're just holding them in with the row covers.
Yeah.
Another strategy I found to work this year. I planted some of my greens, like my kohlrabi. I planted that early under plastic in those domes.
Yeah.
And so they're when they're really young, when they're baby plants.
Yeah.
It's so early in the year, the flea beetles just aren't active that time of year.
Right.
So by the time they're big and mature and tough and strong, that's when the flea beetles start attacking them, and they can take it a bit. Right.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most. I mean, it's too late for anyone listening. It's too late to do that now for next year. But that is, I would say, the best strategy is to start those things early, under plastic outdoors, and then just take the plastic off when it's middle of March or May, something whenever the soil warms up, and then they'll be mature enough to handle a little bit of attacks when these pests start coming around. Because I found the ones I started in my kale garden, which has broccoli, Brussels sprouts and kale, they're fine. I don't even know if they have a hole in them. They look beautiful.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's the variety. I doubt it.
Right.
I can't see the pests being that selective, because I've got little bit, pest problems everywhere. But that one garden, I'm sure some of the lousy lower leaves are being attacked. But anyway, that's if it was. And I've read about this. That this is supposed. I did it. Just happened by accident, but I did a bit of reading, and that is one of the strategies. Get everything started early, and then the plants will be mature, and they can handle a bit of. They can handle pests better when they're mature.
Cool.
Anyway, so that's three big problems. I mean, there's other kinds of pests that can cause you problems, but I don't find any of them unless you have really bad year, grasshoppers or something like that. But really, those are the ones that seem to be have given me serious grief. So there's some tricks to deal with it, and if none of the supernatural tricks work, I mean, that's not supernatural. That's a poor choice of words. If none of the ultra natural methods work, I mean, it's odd for a permaculture garden to be talking about these sorts of organic pesticides. I mean, they are organic. They're approved for use in organic gardens. But the whole goal of permaculture is a self-perpetuating system that needs no inputs.
Yeah.
But if you're on the verge of losing all your kale, you're going to just sit there and watch it disappear? I mean, you got to do something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, this is the compromise, right? So I'm not using toxic stuff that's going to go into my soil and kill everything. I'm using stuff that breaks down very quickly and is very pest specific, and is going to do minimal damage, and hopefully over time I won't need it anymore, and I'll just have the balance I need of good and bad pests, and everything will just take care of itself.
Awesome. Very good. And I'm looking forward to those videos, those pest videos. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So that was episode 41. And just like every episode, you can find it at maritimegardening.com/041. The episode you referenced at the beginning where you're talking about rain was actually episode 12. So if somebody wanted to look that up, they can do that. And yeah, that'll do it. So until next time.
There's the video for the rain.
Yes. Now I don't know how to tell people to exactly find that. I know most of the videos you can find on our website.
Yeah, I think it's on the website.
All of them will be there eventually, but they're also on our Facebook page. So if you are really wanting to find it quickly, you could just go to Facebook, find Maritime Gardening, and then just click on the videos, and you'll find it there. Those videos are getting gobbled up on Facebook. So
yeah, also on YouTube.
And YouTube, yes, let's not forget YouTube.